Greetings, I'm Demonac, and it's arena time. Alright, so I'm going to do another one of my Hearthstone Arena for Beginner series, and this time I'm going to do it as the Priest. Now, people might not think too much of the Priest as a beginner class. They tend to be built around a lot of combos and control type of stuff, which you don't think of for beginners often in collectible card games, but in the arena, yeah, you can have some of those combos, but one of the things the Priest does is just gets more efficiency out of his minions. As long as you have minions that are relatively tough, the Priest's ability to just pay 2 and heal himself or a minion for 2 will go a long way. If you can keep healing your minions, they will get more. You can just get more kills with the same number of minions, make your cards go farther. And if you can make your cards go farther than your opponent can, you usually win. So the first set here, we have the Pint-Sized Summoner, who is very is a 2/2 for 2 is fine stats. It's very fragile, and it does have that ability to, if she survives, you can start playing 1 more mana worth of minions every turn, which is pretty awesome. That if she survives is the problem. It usually doesn't happen. Now, the Ancient Watcher is a very strange creature. It's actually more powerful than it looks. It looks like a useless piece of junk, because it's a 4/5, it can't attack, and it doesn't have taunt. So this isn't like in Magic the Gathering, where you'd have it's a wall, it's got huge stats, but it doesn't attack. That's fine, because in this game, it's not stopping anything. It will just sit there and watch while your opponent beats the snot out of you. There are 2 ways that you can really make use of these guys normally. There are actually some other weird combos, especially with Warlock, but mainly your choices are, you can silence it somehow. If you silence the Ancient Walker, he loses his text. His text is what's stopping him from attacking. So he just becomes a 4/5 that you paid 2 for. That's pretty decent, although paying 2 and a silence, you had to do something to get that silence. So, The other choice is to give him taunt somehow. The main culprits being, there's a 2/3 for 2 mana that gives taunt to both adjacent creatures. So she could give taunt to this and something else, and that's pretty awesome suddenly. Because your opponent is going to, even though this can't attack still, your opponent is going to have to get through it or kill it somehow. And then there's also the Defender of Argus, which does the same thing, but also gives them +1/+1. And he costs 4 mana, but then this is an even bigger ugly wall that they have to get through. But for our purposes here with the Priest, I'm going to go with the Imp Master. She's a 1/5, so she's not a very offensive minion. 1/5 for 3, though, that's pretty darn tough for 3 mana. You don't normally see creatures quite that defense-oriented, and yet she still has 1 attack, which is not useless there. And at the end of every turn, she deals 1 damage to herself, even if it kills her, but makes a 1/1 Imp. So she's going to give you a 1/1 Imp every turn, especially if you're a Priest, and you can keep healing her back up, so that you can keep her alive. So your opponent's really going to have to deal with this if I've got a Priest here. I think I've mentioned before, the way I'm doing the basics now is I'm going to spend a lot of time explaining the choices, and then I'm going to try and play a little faster when we get to gameplay. But for this video, it's going to be long. So the Goldstar Footman, he's fairly, 1/2 taunt for 1. Again, I've mentioned it before. Did not mean to click him. That was an accidental mouse click, which was really dumb. I've mentioned before, he can be okay in the later game, because at least he stops something, but he's still pretty weak. I was going to take the Gurubashi Berserker, who's a 2/7, which is already good with my Priest healing power to keep him alive, but every time he takes damage, he gets bigger, and it's not a normal enrage. Normally, when you see enrage on a minion, they get that bonus if they have less than full health. If they get healed back up to full, they lose the bonus, and even if they take damage multiple times, they only get the bonus once. The Gurubashi Berserker, 2/7 for 5, the guy that I was going to take, but got stuck with this instead because of an accidental mouse click. But the Gurubashi Berserker isn't an enraged creature, technically. He just has the ability that every time he takes damage, he gets +3 attack. So that works really well if you can keep healing him up. But I can't because I clicked on something else stupidly. The Voodoo Doctor, he's still pretty neat. A 2/1 for 1 is about what you expect stat-wise. Healing 2 is actually a pretty decent ability. I mean, at least the problem is it's a bad ability if for a first turn play, right? Often your 2/1 for 1, its purpose is to come out first turn, and if you do that with him, that might still help you with establishing board control, because your first turn 2/1 can probably kill whatever your opponent plays for their first turn. There's a good chance. But you're losing his heal 2 ability because you'll already be at full. It does make him useful later in the game, though. And the thing is, as a priest, priests have at least one card that draws you a card whenever a minion is healed. You could use him to trigger that ability as well. So you could heal one minion with your ability and then play him for 1 mana, heal another minion or the same one again. As long as it wasn't at full health, you would draw cards from the Northshire Cleric. And we'll hopefully get a Northshire Cleric or two. They're kind of a critical element of the constructed priest, but we're going to take the light spawn, though. Now, the young Dragonhawk is very fragile. If you buff his attack, it can do a lot, but it usually won't live that long. It's a beast, so it is a little bit more useful for a hunter. They could use stuff like the 4/3 for 4 mana that gives a beast +2/+2 in taunt. That +2/+2 is actually adding 4 damage per turn on this guy because Wind Fury lets him attack twice, but we can't do any tricks like that. What we can do tricks with is the light spawn. So he's a 5/5 for 4, which is awesome, but he has this horrible drawback that the more damage he takes, the lower his attack is. So he's a 5/5, but if he takes 2 damage, then he's only a 3/3. If he takes another 2 damage, he's a 1/1. He paid 4/4, like his attack went down. But if I heal him again, his attack goes back up to his maximum. So he's actually quite good with the priest ability that way. But there's more that the priest can do, because there's also another spell in here, Divine Spirit. 2 mana enchantment, it just doubles a creature's health. This guy's attack is always equal to his health. So if I double his health, now he's a 10/10. And that's a force to be reckoned with. Even without that, he's okay for a priest. If this was a minion for any other class, I would say he was horrible, because that drawback is really bad. But because the priest's healing sort of negates, or often negates his drawback, that's fine. So here we have the Novice Engineer. Is not a horrible choice. I mean, you don't get very much for this card, but for only 2 mana, you get to go through and get another card. And it is another minion you have in play if you had something that benefits from the number of minions in play. In other decks, it can do some things. As a priest, I don't think I care too much about that, although if I had a few good cards in a deck, like that I really wanted to get to faster, this would help me get through my deck faster and hopefully get those cards. Bluegill Warrior, we mentioned before. I mean, it's like paying 2 mana to get 2 damage. It's just if you happen to use it on the other player instead of one of their minions, then it's still out there, and you might get to do even more damage. Spiteful Smith is actually kind of tempting because he's fat, right? He's less efficient than a Yeti for me, right? The Yeti is the 4/5 for 4, which is awesome, and it'd be really good with the priest's ability to heal it and keep it in the battle. This guy has only got 1 more hit point for 1 more mana. That is not a good deal, but it's a little bit better deal than usual with the priest. The reason normally he's good is his Enrage. Usually Enrage gives the minion itself +2 attack. His Enrage doesn't do that. It gives a bonus to your weapon. As a priest, it's very unlikely I'll have a weapon, since there are no priest weapons. That doesn't make it impossible, but very unlikely. I'm going to stick with the Bluegill Warrior, because I know he's going to come out and do something. So we got a 3/2 for 3, for 2 I mean. He's fine. He's a beast, so he doesn't really have any abilities. I don't have any way to make use of him being a beast, but he's not bad. The Geomancer is a 2/2 for 2, which is fine, but he's got the spell damage. And there are quite a number of priest spells that do spell damage. I might get some of those. That'd be great. There's some that do damage directly to players, some that are expensive but flexible. And there's also Holy Nova, which I really hope I get some of, which is the priest's area of effect spell. It's 5 mana. It deals 5 damage. No, it doesn't. It's 5 mana. It deals 2 damage to all enemy characters, including their hero. And it heals 2 to all friendly characters, including the hero. That's a big swing for 1 card. If you can kill some of their stuff, sometimes you can attack some of their things with yours first, and if yours survive, then you can cast the Holy Nova afterwards and heal them even further. Plus, if you have the Northshire Cleric for the card drawing every time a minion is healed, you can draw a lot of cards off that. But we're going to go with the Thoughtsteal. Now, you can compare this to a mage has Arcane Intellect, right? Costs 3, draws 2 cards, which is good. It's like giving them 1 extra card in their hand, helps them go through their deck faster. This doesn't help me go through my deck faster, but it does give me 2 cards for the 1. It does it by giving me copies of 2 cards from my opponent's deck. This does really weird things because it gives you cards that you would never have access to as a priest normally. It could give you some really good stuff, it could give you really crappy stuff, especially in the arena. You have no idea what they get. Sometimes you can get combo cards that are actually 100% useless for the priest. Stuff that only work, like you could, or at least 90% useless. Like you could get the warrior card Upgrade, which gives their weapon +1 attack and +1 use. But if you don't have a weapon, it just gives you a weapon that does 1 damage and has 3 uses, which is pretty garbagey. I guess for a priest, some weapon is better than no weapon, but yeah, not very good. But you can get a lot of crazy stuff off Thought Steal, and it also drives your opponents nuts when you start using your stuff against them. Suddenly, they don't know what you can do. It really opens up the field. It makes it harder for them to predict your actions, because if you play this against a mage and you get a Flame Strike, that dramatically changes what you can do to control the battlefield. Anyway, I'm going to take that. Trust me, it's good. We'll see what happens. You are a very weak cousin of the Bluegill Warrior. I find that the 1 damage he does for a card is not worth it. You at least give a replacement card. I'm going to take the Lord of the Arena. He's a little fatter. I'd rather his stats were flipped around so that he was tougher, but he's still pretty dangerous, and we're going to get him. Oh, here's the Gurbrashi Berserker I was talking about earlier, right? So 2/7 for 5, which is okay, and his being very tough works well with my ability to heal him. But every time he takes damage, he gets +3 attack. Even if I heal him back up to full, he keeps all those bonuses to attack. He can become huge. Your opponent tends to value him as a very high threat, so that's also interesting. The Venture Company Mercenary, I don't remember if I talked about him before in the basics videos. He is incredibly large for his 5 mana. Look at the difference. This guy costs 5 mana. He's 2/7 because he has a good ability. This guy costs 5 mana and he's a 7/6. He can kill this in 1 shot and still have 4 hit points left. That is insane. But he has a horrible drawback. As long as he is in play, your minions cost 3 more. 3 is a big cost increase because now these guys would cost 8. You're going to have a hard time doing more than 1 thing in a turn. Sometimes have a hard time doing 1 thing in a turn if this guy stays alive for long. But he is very tough. I could heal him and stuff like that. The Dark Scale is also pretty good. I call her the Healing Yeti because she's just like the Yeti who's 4/5 for 4. You pay 1 more mana for a Dark Scale healer, but she heals you and your minions each for 2 when she comes into play. Which again can trigger healing type combos, but I'm going to go with the Gurbashi Berserker. Because I think I can get the most use out of him. Now here's some stuff. First, Nightblade is just fairly generic card. 4/4 for 5 is a little bit iffy on the stats. Like, it's not horrible, but you want a really good ability if that's all you're getting. Because, again, a 4-mana creature like the Yeti, who's a 4/5, a cheaper creature can win against this if it just has better organized stats. What she does is she does 3 damage to the enemy hero when she comes into play. That's it. I don't like it so much because it's just 1 shot, but if your deck is designed to kill your opponent fast, she really keeps on the pressure. Then Circle of Healing is a weird card, right? It costs 0, that's nice. Costing 0 is amazing because it increases what you can do in a turn. It restores 4 health, which is a huge amount, to all minions. So it'll heal all your minions for 4. It'll also heal all your opponent's minions for 4, if any of them are damaged. But that's really the key. This is still a pretty good card. It sounds like, oh, that's kind of bad. It's like, it's going to be neutral, right? It's going to break even? No, because you control when you play it. You're going to play this when you have damaged minions and your opponent doesn't. And you know you have it in your hand, so you can make some attacks that cause your minions to suffer severe damage, but kill enemy minions, and then you can heal yours back to full. Plus, there's some combos that they can do with this, right? There's the Injured Blade Master, who's a neutral, like, he's a rare minion, but he's a 4/7 for 3 mana, except when he comes into play, he deals 4 damage to himself. So he's really only a 4/3 for 3 mana. He's already great with the priest because the priest can heal him. If he doesn't get killed right away, you can heal him eventually back up to his full 4/7 health. If you have a Circle of Healing, though, you can play 3 mana, play the Injured Blade Master, he's a 4/3, and then immediately Circle of Healing, now he's a 4/7 that you got out on turn 3. Or if you were going second, you could have coined him out turn 2, have a 4/7 minion. It's huge. And it's not like he can be silenced or something. He is actually a 4/7. That's his real stats. So that's pretty crazy. But there's also... There's a minion the priest can get. Hopefully we'll see one. I'd probably take it. An Auchenai priest or something. Auchenai cleric. Who's a 3/5 for 4. But she has a special ability that whenever you do healing, it does damage instead. Which, guess what? Now this costs 0. It does 4 damage to all minions. Now it does do 4 damage to your minions. The priest who does that, she's a 3/5. So she's just big enough to survive. 4 damage is huge to do all minions, though. It's pretty crazy. But I'm probably going to pass that up, because I don't have any combos with it yet, and the other card is Power Word Shield. This is a basic, kind of amazing priest card. It seems so simple, right? You pay 1, you give a minion +2 health. That's not even really that impressive, right? But +2 health is pretty good for the priest, because again, you have that healing to take advantage of. The thing is, this draws a card to replace itself. So this is like a free card, basically. It's so cheap mana-wise, and it draws a card to replace itself. It's like a free card that gives +2 health. It's actually going to work out really well most of the time. So we have a Murloc. We know Murlocs are not going to be that good in the arena most of the time because they all work together, and therefore you need a ton of Murlocs. This guy's no exception. He just gets a bonus whenever anyone plays a Murloc. But I have no control over that unless I have a bunch of other Murlocs. Mana Addict, she's a very aggressive sort of minion if you can play her early in the game, right? 1/3 for 2 is pretty decent defensive sort of stats. But you can get a 2/3 for 2. She's just smaller. Whenever you cast a spell, she gets +2 attack temporarily, just until end of turn. But that's each time you cast a spell. So if you cast 3 spells in a turn, if I go Power Word Shield and then Healing Circle, she's now, well, she gets +4 temporary attack, and that can do a lot of damage. But we're going to take the Light Warden. Light Warden is only a 1/2, but she only costs 1 mana. That's pretty good. Whenever it's not good stats. That's like averagey stats for 1 mana, and honestly, when the defense is only 2, you'd probably rather have the higher offense. But in this case, she's pretty strong, because whenever any character is healed, that includes me healing myself. The other healing combo minion only counts when you heal to other minions. The Light Warden works when I heal myself as well. Whenever a character is healed, she gains +2 attack permanently. So you can do some sick stuff with her. Usually she'll just die, but especially out of these choices, she's well worth a try. Okay. So first we have the Auctioneer. I don't remember if I had him in a basic video before, but yeah, he's 4/4 for 5. He's a little on the fragile side, but still pretty decent stats. He's still relatively beefy. Whenever I cast a spell, he draws me a card. If I cast Power Word Shield for 1 mana, it would draw me 2 cards, because it already draws a card. Thought Steal would draw me a card from my deck, and then steal 2, and then copy 2 cards from my opponent's deck. His card drawing can be amazing, but I don't know how many spells I'm going to have. We have the Ancient Mage, who's kind of weird, right? 2/5 for 4 is just a little bit on the weak side for stats, but not too bad. He's very tough, which, again, I like tough things in Priest deck. But he gives +1 spell damage to each adjacent minion. So when you play him, as long as you had 2 other minions, you actually gain +2 spell damage right away. Not a lot of minions can give you more than 1 spell damage. Mostly just like epics legendaries that give that kind of extra spell damage. So that's pretty interesting, but again, I don't have the damage spells yet, and I might never get them. So we're probably going to take the Argent Commander, who is one of the best minions in the game. He's good for finishing your opponent, because he's got 4 attack and charge, but he's also good at fighting things, because he has that Divine Shield. Sure, he's fragile, like he has very few hit points, But when you play him, he's got charge, so he can attack right away, and he has the bubble, so he can hit one thing without getting hurt. So if my opponent has an Auctioneer out, next turn I play the Argent Commander, attack the Auctioneer, it takes 4 damage. He takes 4 damage, but it just knocks off his bubble, so he actually takes 0 and survives. That's pretty awesome. I'm going to take that. Seen the Engineer. The Acid Ooze is interesting. I mean, 3-2 for 2 is good stats, and if your opponent has a weapon, you can blow it up, and that's awesome. If you blow up something of theirs, as well as getting a decent-sized minion. I mean, against a rogue, a lot of the time you're going to be blowing up one of their one-attack daggers, and they can just pay 2 mana and make another one, because that's their hero ability. But if they improve their weapon or play a bigger weapon, blowing it up is good. Any warrior weapon is probably worth destroying with this. The paladin weapons are really worth destroying. But Ancient Brewmaster is pretty interesting. 5-4 for 4, like that's big stats for 4 mana. He has the drawback and benefit that when he comes into play, you return a friendly minion from the battlefield to your hand. So I think I've discussed this before. If you have no minions out, you can still play him. He doesn't bounce himself like a Magic the Gathering creature because he's badly worded. But what actually happens if you play him alone, you just get a 5-4 for 4, and that's kind of awesome. If you have another minion, you can return it to your hand. So you can do tricks like, I mean, if you have a Battle Cry, you get that again. If I return the Argent Commander and then cast him again, he gets his Divine Shield back. But the thing with charge minions is, I could attack with the Bluegill Warrior, do 2 damage to the player, then I could play him, return it to my hand, and if I had the mana, I could play the Bluegill Warrior again and attack with it again right away. He does a lot of good things. We're going to keep him. So this priestess, you know, she's got the same stats as the Brewmaster, but she costs 2 more mana. And all she does is restore 4 health to my hero. I can heal myself pretty good on my own. I'm really not as worried about that. Frostwolf Warlord is interesting, though. See, a 4-4 for 5, I said, is kind of iffy on the stats. If you have even one other minion, though, like his battle cry is he gets +1/+1 for every other minion that you have. Like every other friendly minion on the battlefield. So if you have any other 1 minion and you play him, he comes in as a 5-5. 5-5 for 5 is already pretty good. If you had 2 minions, he's a 6-6 for 5, which is excellent, and he can get bigger. Or I could take a Power Word Shield, which will help me get through my deck to the good cards faster, and it still buffs something as I do it. That is tough. I think I'm going to take the Power Word Shield. Probably dumb, but I figure I can get more minions somewhere. So the Leper Gnome is a very aggressive minion, right? He's a 2-1. He's a great first turn play, because he's a 2-1, and he will almost always deal 2 damage to your opponent. It's very straightforward. I mean, they could silence him, and then he wouldn't do the extra 2, but V. So there is the Shield Bearer, who could work out okay with my Priestiness, right? I play him for 1 mana, and if their first turn play hits for 2, I can just heal 2 to him every turn. His taunt will prevent them from attacking anything else. Plus that 4 hit points for 1 mana with taunt, you can play him in addition to something else to protect it. Like say I had the Auctioneer and I had 6 mana, I could play the Auctioneer and then play him to protect it in the same turn. Might work out. We're going to take the Holy Smite though, because I don't have that many things that kill minions yet. And this, I mean, it's a small card. It just doesn't do much unless you have spell power. But dealing 2 damage, at least it's cheap, right? Dealing 2 damage anywhere you choose to a minion with no drawbacks or anything is not bad at all. So here's an interesting one. Silence, the priest spell, which is called Silence, is totally free, because that's all it does. Silence is 1 minion. Sometimes this will totally save your butt. Other times you get this and you're like, this card does nothing. Why do I even have this? I prefer minions that silence when they come into play, because at least you're getting a minion, you're getting a little bit of meat. But the fact that this is free makes it pretty valuable. If I had the Auctioneer, I might even take this, because I could draw a card for free. Another Acid Ooze, and the Flesh-Eating Ghoul, I mean, he might be hard to keep alive, but he can grow tremendously, because every time any minion dies, he's getting permanent +1 attack. We're going to go with him. Okay, well, you've seen that. Scarlet Crusader is actually a very good minion, right? She's got 3 attack for 3 mana. That's like perfectly good attack. And the Divine Shield makes her kind of better than a 3/3 for 3. Because she can hit anything and not take any damage the first time. It's got drawbacks. It can be silenced. It can be shot off but for 1 damage. But she is a good fighter. She will often trade favorably with your opponent's minions. But we're taking Holy Nova because, as I said before, 5 mana, 2 damage to all enemies, including the hero, and restore 2 health to yourself and all friendly characters. It's amazing. Want more Holy Novas. Okay, here's one of the priest things. This is one of the things that people think about when they think of priests in Hearthstone. Shadow Word Pain. It's a very cheap spell. Just outright destroys a minion with 3 or less attack. So it only kills sort of weak things, but there are a lot of powerful minions, actually, that only have 3 or less attack. It doesn't care how big their toughness is. A Frost Elemental or Water Elemental, whatever they're called, they're a 3/6 with a good ability. You can blow it up for 2 mana. My Gurubashi Berserker, he's a 2/7 with a really powerful ability. If I can get him before he takes damage, I can blow him up for 2 mana. So this thing is very good. But it doesn't affect any minion with 4 attack or more. There's another priest card, Shadow Word Death, which costs 3 and destroys any minion with 5 or more attack. So you have this to kill the small ones, and you have that to kill the big ones. You can kill anything or wait 3 or less, 5 or more. There's a hole in this plan, and the hole is priests with these particular cards, there are actually 1 or 2 other cards, have a hard time dealing with things that have an attack of exactly 4. It's just a fact of priests. And if you have a Shadow Word Pain and a Shadow Word Death in your hand, and I mean a constructed priest might have 2 of each in their deck, then you can blow up the Gurubashi Berserker with the Shadow Word Pain, you can blow up the Lord of the Arena with the Shadow Word Death, you can blow up the Argent Commander with nothing. Those cards don't work on him. That's pretty frustrating, and it's something a lot of people favor minions that are already good and have 4 attack. They treat them as being just a little bit better than they already were because 4 attack hoses priests somewhat. I am going to take this, though, because it is very good to be able to kill minions. So I could get a silence with some meat on it. That's kind of what I was asking for. The Raging Worgen, we know he's kind of crazy if he can stay alive. One drawback is not only do I not have an easy way or a reliable way to do 1 damage to him, which would be really handy for purposefully triggering his enrage, but I can't heal him without removing his enrage. Very annoying. He's only got 3 toughness. If he takes 1 or 2 damage and I heal him any at all, I'm going to heal him back up to 3, and he will lose his enrage until he gets damaged again. So that's not a great combo. He could still be worth playing with. I think I'm going to take the Spellbreaker because silence. I think I've mentioned before I had my loathing for Magma Rager as a totally worthless minion. I mean, it has a tremendously huge damage-dealing potential for a thing that only costs 3. But with 1 hit point, it is so fragile, it would be really rare that it would ever get a chance to attack, especially to attack your opponent. It's just not going to live long enough to do anything. This guy, on the other hand, he's pretty cool because he comes out with the charge, so he can hit something right away, like the Bluegill. But what you're getting for that extra 2 mana is a lot more hit points. He can hit something and usually survive, and then as a priest, I can go and heal him, which makes him even better. But I think what I need more, I still want more really fat stuff in here, so I'm going to take the Stormwind Champion. I mean, he's got decent stats for the cost. Not as big as some things, but 6/6 for 7 is still not bad, and giving all my other minions +1/+1 is very good, especially if you have a bunch of minions in play, and then you play him. Now all your other minions can attack right away using that +1/+1, right? As long as they were already out, they don't have summoning sickness. There's Shadow Word Death I was talking about. Blow up a minion with attack of 5 or more. That's pretty solid. The Warlord is good. It's also the Divine Spirit I mentioned. I mean, it's actually a very weird card. It has the advantage that it is geometric, because this doubles a minion's health. That means if you use it on a Bluegill Warrior, it does virtually nothing and is totally a waste of your time. There's almost no circumstance you would ever do that. But if you do it to the Gurubashi Berserker, he's gone up to 7... I know what I'm saying, but I can't say it. He's gone up to 14 health. And he still has his ability where he's getting +3 attack every time he takes damage. And I'm sitting here healing him. That would be insane. Or, of course, I can use it, like I said, on the light spawn, double his health to 10, and then guess what? His attack is always equal to his health, so now he has attack 10. That is very good combo, but I don't know if it's worth it for the combo. I think I'm better off having a Shadow Word Death. Unless I got more light spawn, or more Divine Spirits, or some other stuff. It's probably not going to happen. I think, overall, I'm much better off using Shadow Word Death, because with most of my minions, this isn't going to be as big a deal. Yeah, it'd be awesome on that, and some other things, but mostly no. Shadow Word Death is a pretty reliable thing for killing stuff. Okay, so here's a rare. Oh, Mind Control Tech. I mean, 3/3 for 3 is fine. If your opponent has an overwhelming number of minions, if they have 4 or more minions, this guy can get you like a 1,000,000,000 to 1 card advantage, right? Because he takes control of one, even though it's a random one he's taking. He could take their worst minion, he could take their best minion. And trust me, when he comes out and takes their best minion, that often totally changes the game, even if it's a 25% chance or worse. But you just have to remember, you're getting like 3 to 1 card advantage from him just about always, unless the minion he steals is really trivial. Because the first one is the 3/3 that you're getting for this 3 mana. The second one, you're effectively killing one enemy minion. And the third one, you're gaining a minion. It happens to be exactly the same as the one you just killed, because it's not really dead, it's yours now. That's like 3 to 1 card advantage, which is amazing, but it's hard to rely on. Usually you're trying to kill your opponent's minions so you don't end up in a situation where they outnumber you that much. Lightwell is a pretty obnoxious priest-only card. You put it out early in the game and it can stall your opponent quite a bit, right? It's 0/5, it doesn't kill anything on its own, although you have to remember, this is not like Magic the Gathering. Creatures with 0 attack can't attack, but there's nothing stopping it from attacking if it gains attack somewhere. If I play the Stormwind Champion and it gets +1/+1, now it can attack as a 1/6. But it's very cheap, very tough, and at the start of every turn, it restores 3 health to a random damaged friendly character. So it's random, that's bad. But it only targets damaged friendly characters. So if you have taken damage and none of your minions have, it's guaranteed to heal you for 3 every turn. If you are not damaged and your opponent hits the Lightwell, it's going to heal itself for 3. It can target itself, it's fine. So it gives your opponent these difficult choices, like, do I try and damage the Lightwell and damage the player, so spread it out? One of them is going to get healed for 3, which is horrible, but then maybe if the Lightwell doesn't heal itself, it'll be worn down enough that I can finish it, and it's a pain in the rear. But that said, I think I'm going to take the Violet Teacher, because 3/5 for 4 is pretty good stats for fighting. She's not that easy to kill, she does enough damage, it's respectable for her mana, and she has the ability that whenever I cast a spell, I get a 1/1 minion for free. I have a couple of cheap spells in here already, the Holy Smite, the 2 Power Word Shields, and those free minions can come in handy. But 3/5 for 4 is already just good stats for fighting, and of course I can heal her, so yeah. Now, this guy I would normally never play, especially as a non-hunter. Because as a hunter, at least you can use the fact that it's a beast, but his stats are poor because he's a beast. He had wasted a point on being a beast. 1/4 for 3, I mean, he's just not that hard to kill. Like, look, there was a 0/4 taunt for 1 mana. This guy costs 2 mana more. He just has 1 attack, as far as I'm concerned. But that said, I mean, as a priest I could heal him. He's not as bad as he would be for some other classes. But no. This guy doesn't have taunt, which is too bad because he'd be awesome. But as a 2/7, he is very, very tough. Even without the healing, he can probably hit 2 enemy minions and maybe survive after the second hit, which is a lot of fighting. I've been told that's very good in the arena. I usually still don't pick him. Just seems lame. Then there's the Fairy Dragon, which I can't heal. It only had 2 health. It was probably not going to come up anyway. I can't heal it with my power here. I could still heal it with something else, like Holy Nova or one of those minions that heals as a battle cry. But 3/2 is still good stats for 2 mana, and he can't be targeted by your enemy's hero power either. And he can't be targeted by any spells, friendly or enemy. Makes him hard to blow up. It makes him kind of a pain, and I think I'm going to take him for that. Speaking of pain, I could get another Shadow Word Pain, which is pretty good. It just kills things. Tauren Warrior, again, he's an enraged guy where my healing might be counterproductive. I don't have a good way to trigger it. But, 2/3 taunt enrage. There's that other guy who's 2 mana, 2/3 with the same enrage, right? If he's enraged, he's got 5 attack. That's pretty good. This guy costs 1 more mana than that troll berserker guy, and he just gets taunt for it. And taunt's okay, but I think I'm going to take the Reckless Rocketeer. I mean, it's a little bit overpriced for its stats, but that's because Charge is an expensive ability. And this can just come out and help kill your opponent. It's 5 damage they weren't expecting. Plus, it can come out and kill a large minion later on if I have the mana. So, we're going to do that. Here's another priest-only card. 6/6 for 6, which is quite decent stats. And when he comes into play, he gives any friendly minion +3 health. As long as I have something else out, he's doing more than a Power Word Shield minus the card draw. Of course, the card draw is the reason we play with Power Word Shield, but instead of drawing a card, it comes with a 6/6 for an appropriate cost. So that's pretty good. This +3 health could combo off the Light Spawn too, right? If I give him +3 health, he's an 8/8. So I'm going to take him. We've already looked at these 2 guys. Don't want more Murlocs. He's okay. His stats are fine. It's just they would be so much better if they were flipped around. For an expensive taunt minion like that, I'd like him to be tougher. If he was a 3/6, that would be fantastic. A 4/5 would still be better. But yeah. Did I just say a 3/6 would be fantastic? Because now I'm describing the Fen Creeper that I don't like that much. Which is mostly just because you can get a 3/5 taunt for 4 mana, and it seems better, but that's a good point. Fen Creeper not as bad when you compare him to the Booty Bay Bodyguard, which I'm just going to hold against the Bodyguard. I could get the Direwolf Alpha. Again, 2/2 is solid for 2. His ability is pretty good. If I have 2 other minions out and I play him in between them, they get +1 attack right away. Like if they're already able to attack, they can attack bigger. And he might help me survive the early game just being another 2 mana creature. So we're going to take that. We know the Wisp just doesn't do enough for the mana cost. I don't like it. Scarlet Crusader is again very good for fighting, and I'd love to take you, but I have to take Holy Nova because it's Holy Nova. It is an amazing, powerful area spell. So there's another Divine Spirit. Here's the thing, in a constructed deck you can have up to 2 copies of any card. I could have had 2 copies of Divine Spirit in here. You know what? If I had a Light Spawn who is at full health, a turn had gone by since I cast him, so he's able to attack, and I played both Divine Spirits on him. First Divine Spirit, he's a 10/10. Second Divine Spirit, Geometric. And he's a 20/20. That is a sick priest combo. Suddenly I'd be hitting my opponent for 20 when they were expecting 5, and the thing would still be alive and out there, they'd have to deal with it. That's pretty sick. I'm probably not doing that. I don't feel like going all out on that combo. I only have 5 cards left. I mean, I might get more stuff that works with it. Might get more Light Spawn, and then I'd be really sad that I didn't take the other Divine Spirit. But I'm better off, I think, just taking regular fighting minions. And the Fairy Dragon is one of the best ones for that. Aw, there we go. So I could take another Shadow Word Pain, but I won't. I could take the Mad Bomber, who's not that bad for a cleric. I mean, you can heal damage more easily than your opponent. Having it soften up some of your own minions is easier for the priest to deal with than it is for most other classes, and he's still a 3-2 for 2. Perfectly fine. He can randomly sometimes crush your opponent. Sometimes he'll randomly hit you in the face for 3 damage. I don't like random. I do like mind control. It is the opposite of random. It is very controlled. It takes all of your mana when you have maximum mana. 10 is very expensive, but you take control of an enemy minion of your choice. And it's kind of like I was mentioning with the mind control technician. Mind control is really, it's already 2-to-1. It destroyed an enemy minion, in this case probably a really powerful one because I got to choose. And then it gives you an enemy minion, probably a really powerful one because I got to choose. And then if that minion goes out and kills several things, then you get crazy card advantage. This is also like your opponent plays a legend, thinks they've won the game, you steal their legend, they concede. This sort of thing happens a lot. We're going to take mind control anyway. Having 1 in the deck is very good. I don't necessarily play with 2 in constructed because, again, it is a very late game card. 10 mana, that's going to be a dead card in your hand for a long time. I could have had 3 Divine Spirits. If I got all 3 Divine Spirits, I could take the Light Spawn and hit someone for 40 damage in 1 hit. That's not going to happen now, so I'm just not going to take it again. For pretty much the same reasons, I'm going to take... Panther's good because he can survive long enough to do his damage. On the other hand, I can't heal him much. The healing's less likely to help him. I think the Spellbreaker would be good. Silence is very strong, so... Could hit someone for 80 damage. Now, that involves having 4 of a kind in my hand and the right minion out and able to play, but you can see the kind of stupid things that happen with geometric stuff. Blizzard wouldn't have put this in if constructed had more than allowed more than 2 copies of anything. You don't want to be multiplying something by 8. That's not good game balance. In the arena, it could have. I mean, it would have been so hard to orchestrate anyway. Now I could take the Dalaran Mage. He again 1-4 for 3 is kind of feeble stats, but he's got the spell damage, and it kind of makes sense on him more than some other things because the 4 hit points make it hard to get rid of him, which helps to keep the spell damage in play. So it's fairly durable spell damage. And 1 point of spell damage turns Holy Nova into a death machine, right? 3 damage to all enemies for 5, and you're healing your stuff. But I think I'm going to take the Loot Hoarder because he's another 2-mana creature. He helped you get through that early game part, but he also draws me another card when he dies, and I like that a lot. And my final card... Could get the Injured Blade Master, who would go well with the Circle of Healing I didn't take. Get another Violet Teacher. I don't have that many spells, especially cheap ones. I get a fair number, but I'm not going to focus on that. The Crazed Alchemist is a lot of fun. You can do funny things like turn the Gurbashi Berserker into a 7-2 even when he hasn't taken damage. Probably a stupid plan, but if he got pumped up and I'm healing him and then he takes damage, healing him and he takes damage, and somehow his attack got higher, I could switch his attack and toughness. It's much more likely you're going to use this to either blunt the attack of a really damaging enemy minion, or to take a really tough enemy minion, flip it around, and just finish it with something weaker. I'm going to take the Injured Blade Master, though. I don't have any Yetis in here. He's interesting compared to a Yeti, though, for the Priest. For 3 mana, I get a 4-3, right, because he deals the 4 damage to himself. But on subsequent turns, if he survives, I can heal him up and get a lot more use out of him. If I have 5 mana, I can play him and heal him right away, so I got a 4-5 for 5. And again, I can still keep healing him as it goes on. So he's very flexible in that sense, compared to the Yeti, who always costs 4, no more, no less, and is always 4-5, no more, no less. I'm going to take the Blade Master. We'll see how that goes. And now that I've done all that choosing, we'll get back to the actual game itself, and I'm going to play faster, which is what I've been doing in the newer For Beginners series. Spend all that time going through all the card choices, but now when I'm playing, I'm going to try and play at a decent normal pace. Assuming it finds me an opponent at a decent normal pace, which it has. Could have had an 80/80 light elemental. Oh well.
Light shall bring victory.
So this is looking like a pretty ugly like starting hand for my opponent. Now he might just get an axe and kill them all off. The fairy dragon can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. They can still be totally attacked by heroes if the heroes get themselves some attack, like the 2-mana axe that warriors tend to play. So I will be somewhat sad if I play him and then my opponent just plays the axe. But if he doesn't have it, this could go a long way. Let's find out. I'm going to coin him out. So I think it's just called a war axe or something. I don't know. It'll make me sad. Don't do it. Don't play the axe. It's the obvious thing to play if you have it. You shouldn't have to think about it. But you don't have it. You don't need it. Excellent. Now I get to inflict damage. Now here's an interesting point. If I play him, that would be an awesome superpowered start. But if my opponent has a cleave, cleave's a warrior card, is 2 mana, deal 2 damage to 2 damage each to 2 random enemy minions. It doesn't, because it doesn't target, because it's random, it can hit this. This can't be targeted by spells, but it doesn't target. It's random. So if I played this, he could cleave, kill them both. That would be very, very unhappy. Now if I play this, he could also cleave and kill them both. So it may be stupid that I'm not doing anything with my turn. I don't want to take the risk, though. It's one of those trade-offs. Like, I know things my opponent could have, and it's bad for me, but that's pretty bad. It's going to do 2 damage either to me or to one of my minions every turn that it's alive. So I'm going to have to start working on killing it. Guess what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit it. I can't even heal this, but I'm then going to play the Flesh-Eating Ghoul, because he can survive taking the 2 damage. It missed. I mean, it hit me for 2, but that was a total miss because that would have been threatening if it had hit any of my guys. Now, he could trade this for the Fairy Dragon, but I can live with that because I need to get rid of... Like, the Demolisher is very dangerous. That random 2 damage every turn. This is a good one, 4 for 3. Really a 3-4 for 3, but 2 of his damage goes wherever the heck it wants. Oh, there's that. There's a weapon, and ouch. At least he took some damage for it, but yeah, I would have preferred to keep that ghoul alive. So this I should probably use to kill his 3/3, because on his turn he can use his battle axe and take this out. I mean, he would take 3 damage, which is a lot of damage if I hit him for 3. But yeah. On the other hand, I could play this guy who would absorb 1 attack. That might be good, actually. Let's try that. So I'm going to play him.
Ready for action.
So he either has to use this guy to take that out, or use his axe to take him out, and then use this guy to trade for that. But I'm going to get some attacking in anyway. I'm going to hit him for 3. And I'm so tempted to play this, but maybe I should Thought Steal now and see what cards I get from his deck. Because that could change how I play in the future. Next turn I'm going to have 5 mana. Well, next turn I could heal and play this. But now I'm going to do this and see what I get. I mostly got junk. That's too bad. I mean, this is an okay minion, but it's nothing special. I mean, it's a neutral. I could have chosen them if I had any come along. This is a warrior card, but it doesn't do me as much good as it does some warriors. It's basically, for me, it's like gain 5 health, but it can go above my maximum. And it would draw me a card. That part's nice. That's bad, though. Every time this guy takes damage, my opponent's going to draw a card. I really want to be able to kill him in 1 hit, and I don't know how I'm going to do that. Right now, I'm going to save this. It's going to be a surprise for later. It does draw a card, which is okay. Brewmaster, they can kind of kill him. Oh, you know what I need to do? Okay, and that's everything else. I'm silencing this guy. Because he could draw multiple cards from him, now he will draw 0 cards from him. So that already makes me a little happy. Then I'm going to... I feel like it's a waste because she's going to die, but I'm going to play her.
In the light's name.
And I'm going to heal myself for 2. When anyone is healed, she gets +2 attack. This guy's 1 attack isn't enough to take her out in one blow. He could trade this to kill her, and he might. Or he's going to kill her somehow. There's no way she's going to stay alive. 0% chance. But if she takes this guy out, that's not the worst. She was cheap, and I healed myself in the process. We got about the same number of cards as my opponent. We both have an ability that heals us for 2, sort of. His can go above his cap, mine can heal my minions. I like my ability better. Wow, he used 1 attack on a 5 attack weapon to do that, so that's not too bad. I'm not going to complain. What I am going to do is, I think I'm going to play the Argent Commander and use it to kill that.
To Northrend! Victory!
Yeah, he just uses his bubble. My opponent can easily kill this with his axe, but he would take 5 damage. This guy does only 1, so even though my commander is fragile, this guy would still need a little bit of help. Let's see what happens. Again, I'm saving this as a surprise. He's not going to be expecting me to gain the 5 armor. Plus, if I really need to just go all out on healing myself in one turn, I can heal for 2 and armor up and draw a card for 5 mana. That's a little annoying. Okay. That's probably worth it for him. The Immortal Strike, it's 4 mana for 4 damage, which is perfectly good. Like, that's a big chunk, even though it's not super mana efficient. That's a big chunk of damage for one spell. If he had 12 health or less, it would do 6 damage instead, which makes it as good as the Mage's Fireball under those circumstances. Kinda wish I had this earlier. Okay, so what am I going to do about this junk? I don't have any good way to kill them. I could play this guy and bounce nothing. Well, first off, I could play this guy and then Power Word Shield him. That's 7 mana. He would be a 6/7 taunt, which is pretty rough. I could play this guy, bouncing nothing, then play this, and then Power Word Shield him. So he would be a 5/6, no taunt, but he'd be a 5/6, and I'd have a 3/2 out. Which again, is big enough to kill this, and too big to die to him. I don't know if I need the taunt that much right now. Although this would also draw me a card, so I'd be able to get through my deck faster to other things. I might want to save his ability to bounce something, though. I'm going to do it this way. Draw me the cards sooner. I'm a little worried he has an Execute. That would be the ideal thing for him, would be trade this 1/1 to damage him, and then Execute his 1 mana, kill any damaged minion. Which is one of the best ways a warrior has to deal with stuff. Now, on the other hand, it always takes them 2 cards or attacks or something. Oh, he gives himself +4 attack, and then he's going to hit for 9 to kill this guy. It takes a lot of damage in the process. But he does have a monopoly on minions on the board now, unfortunately. Oh, Holy Nova. It doesn't quite kill this guy, or I'd be really tempted. Again, it might be good as a surprise. I'm wondering if I should play this, silence him. One less obnoxious taunt to worry about. And then I play this, and it'll be a 5/5. Well, he could hit it for 1, and then hit it with this guy, and he'd survive. But then he'd be in Holy Nova range, right? Because the 2 damage from Holy Nova would finish him. So that might not be the worst. I could also armor up, see what I draw. But no, I think I want to play more of these cards right now. So I'm gonna try that.
Your magic shall not save you.
If I'd seen him before I played the Power Word Shield, I would have saved the Power Word Shield for him, because it would turn him into a 7/7, which is kind of awesome. This guy's very vulnerable to silence, though. You notice that the only thing that's giving him attack power is his text. So if you silence him, he's a 0-5, and he sucks. Okay, well that played into my hands for the Holy Nova, although the bears will survive. And I won't really gain 2 health because this guy will do 2 damage to me. Nevertheless, the Holy Nova is going to be the way to go for sure. Oh, now I can Holy Nova and then smite this guy and have a clear board. That's pretty good. Again, I could armor up, but I'm going to play a more offensive thing. So I have a little bit more health than him. We both have an ability to heal ourselves 2 every turn. And I have sort of 1 more card, but I know that I'm going to gain a card from this. But on the other hand, 5 health isn't much of a card. Oh, and that guy's worth 2 cards, because he's got the weapon as well as the guy. That's unfortunate. Oh, this is going to get close here. Yes, it is. Okay, let's armor up, see what I get. Oh, that's going to be a good surprise. If I can get him down to 5, I can kill him. But for now, I'm going to play the Brewmaster. And do I play the Loot Hoarder as well? I just have to get him down a little bit. If I do this, I'm not healing myself for 2, though. Kind of want to heal for 2 every turn. We're each getting 1 card every turn. He can be healing for 2 every turn. I want to make sure I'm also healing for 2 every turn. Yeah, let's do that. If he uses his axe to kill something, he's going to take a lot of damage. He can't necessarily afford. Like, he's certainly not going to axe this guy. He would be in dire trouble then. Whoa. Maybe he is going to axe this guy. At 8, if I could get 3 more damage, I could kill him, but I don't think I'm going to draw anything that does that kind of damage, especially not for cheap. Alright, I guess we'll just play all our stuff. Lay all those cards on the table. And if I keep healing every turn to balance out his healing, hopefully I have the advantage here with the cards. Now, I've drawn a couple more cards than he has, so if we run out of cards, I'm going to take more damage from fatigue than he will. So I'm going to be a couple cards ahead. Okay, he does that trade. He does that. Oh, he's not hitting this guy. Interesting. Can I kill him now? That might do it. This is 2. It'll be 3 damage with this. And then this will hit for 6. It's not quite enough, is it? Oh, man. That would hit for 3, 9 damage, and not quite kill him. He would be at 1. 1 is a far cry from dead, unfortunately. He would have to mop up on my guys. It might not be easy, but you know what? I'm going to kill this. I'd like to kill him, but she's got a way more dangerous ability. And I'll draw a card. See what that is. Okay. We're going to play him. That's worth not healing for a turn. This guy is big enough to trade with him. And he's got to get rid of my Stormwind Champion or I'll kill him in no time. So what do you do? I was going to say, he has to play something pretty impressive. That's fairly impressive, but I don't know if it's going to do the job. Well, he keeps armoring up, and I'm not getting ahead. Arg. Power word shielding this won't keep it alive. So what I'm thinking is, I'm going to hit him with the Rocketeer. There's only 5, but if I kill this, anything he plays that's not charge might not be able to kill my Rocketeer. That's worth a shot, right? Yeah, it's not actually game over, buddy. So I'm going to see if I can make it game over. If I draw the Bluegill Murloc, I win. No. It's not over yet. Although this is a pretty good force, even if she fails me somehow. Oh, she won't kill him this turn because she's smaller now. That's not really helping him, though. Because he can't use that axe to kill minions, or he'll just die, basically. So we're still going. I think that's what I needed. Yeah. Ah, it's not going to do it either. I was thinking 3 damage for some stupid reason, but no, I still got to keep going. Oh. So warrior versus warrior, priest versus priest, and priest versus warrior are a bunch of games that sometimes can just go on way longer because other classes that have a damage dealing ability, their games are naturally going to end faster because they're both killing each other. When we both have a healing-y sort of ability, that really slows down the process. What's he going to do? He can't hit this thing because he'll make it bigger. Yeah. That only kills small things, so that's not going to do it. If I hit that with him, it'll trigger his enragey sort of ability, his like bonus attack, right? But this thing would still have 3 hit points left, so Holy Nova still won't kill it. Oh, so frustrating. Because if I could just kill him and attack with this, I would win, but I can't. If I hit it with this guy, he takes 6 damage. He'd be a 2-1, then he'd be a 5-1. I could heal him back up to 3. That's not good enough. Or is it? You know what? I think I want him to take the damage. As weird as that may seem. Because now he can kill in 1 turn. So I'm still there. I'm going to hold on to the Holy Nova, because it might be able to kill whatever minion he plays. But it's risky. If I played this, he'd be healed up to 5. He'd be less likely to die from something. Okay. I've now won. Because this guy has a huge toughness. It would be hard to get through, but I can just Shadow Word him. Oh boy. I felt like I was going to win that one pretty much the whole time. We both ran out of cards, but it still gets a little bit tense when it keeps going and going and going. Anyway, I did get the win though, and we'll see how much farther I can get with this deck next time. If you like this, please click the eponymous button. And don't forget to subscribe to Demonet Games for more Hearthstone Arena and other gaming videos.